Hey guys, Lindsay here. I wanted to talk about Anchor for a second. If you don't know what Anchor is, it's the easiest free way to start a podcast. All you have to do is download the app or go to anchor.fm to get started. You can do everything that you need to do for your podcast from the app. You can record, you can edit, you can share, and you can share to places like Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It makes creating a podcast super easy. We want to hear what you have to say, so download Anchor and start your podcast today.
Hello, and welcome to I Have a Strange Story podcast. I am your co-host today, Rebecca, and today we are doing something a little bit different. We're doing a Swapisode. So we have swapped episodes with one of my favorite podcasts called How in the Hell Did I Get Here? And this show is about sisters growing up, making it through life somehow, and becoming an adults, not just one. And it's a great show. I encourage you to check it out. And the episode that they have sent us is right up our alley. It is a near-death experience, so trigger warning out there for anybody who might get triggered. However, this is probably one of the cutest near-death experiences that I have ever heard, if that's even a thing. So I encourage you to check it out. And after you listen to the episode, please check out their podcast. It's really great. I binge it all the time. So if you have a near-death experience that you would like for us to retell, you can get in touch with us at ihaveastrangestorypodcast@gmail.com. You can send us a message on Instagram. You can send us a message through Facebook. You can mail us a story. However you want to get in touch, we can get there. So without further ado, here is How in the Hell Did I Get Here?
How in the Hell Did I Get Here is supported by the Coloring Book Coach. Check out the new podcast, How to Fall in Love with Yourself Toolkit, an intuitive guide for your month. Find it at thecoloringbookcoach.com. If you've been listening, you know that we are part of a big family. I'm the oldest of 7 in a family of 5 girls and 2 boys. And our mom was the oldest of 8 in a family with 3 brothers and 5 girls. And these were the people who taught us that if you weren't laughing at life's craziness, you were doing it wrong. A big extended family also came with other perks. One was cousins, and lots of them. And 2, we had family get-togethers filled with lots of laughter, smartassery, and shenanigans. And 3, our summers were filled with staying with our cousins at their various houses or having them come to stay with us. I'd venture a guess that for a lot of the cousins in our large extended family, those family swaps during the summer months hold some of our best and most unforgettable memories. We didn't go on family vacations, so going to a cousin's house in the far-off land of Wisconsin for a stay was a big deal. Today's episode, as told by our sister Erin and our cousin Heather, is about one of those summer stays with our Aunt Annie, who was, as Heather calls her, quote, the fancy aunt. I'm going to take a moment to give Annie a shout out and wish her a belated 75th birthday. I saw her not that long ago. She's still our fancy aunt, and she still knows how to have a good time. This is Kim A. Floden, and you're listening to How in the Hell Did I Get Here? As always, today's episode includes swear words. Stay with us. Before we get going, just a quick shout out to thank everyone for subscribing, sharing, and reviewing the show. If you haven't done that yet, can you please do that? It makes a huge difference to us, and it's easy. Just go to howinthehellpodcast.com, hit the Apple button right there on the homepage, and you'll see how to subscribe, rate, and review. We're an indie podcast, and we really rely on you sharing the show. We don't have an advertising budget, but we know we have you guys. I first heard about the bubble story a few months ago when Erin mentioned it to me in passing, saying something along the lines of, "Oh my God, you have to get me and Shmoo," her nickname for our cousin Heather, on together so we can tell you about the time we were almost killed by bubbles at Aunt Annie's house. What? Well, that didn't happen. I wasn't able to get them both on the same call, but I do have Heather's version and then Erin's version of an incident they both say they'll never ever forget. Also, a shout out here to our Aunt Annie for being such a fun aunt and a fan of the podcast. Here's Heather with her version of the bubble story.
You know how when we were little, we used to have those random shuffles in the summer where you'd end up at, aunts' houses and somebody would stay somewhere for a week and there was really never any rhyme or reason to it. Well, I always stayed at your house for a week and Erin stayed at my house for a week in the summer. But for some unknown reason, we ended up at Annie's house for like 3-4 days.
Okay.
I'm sure There's a reason. I'm not even exactly sure how old Erin and I were. I'm thinking we were 9, maybe 10, something like that. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you kind of felt the same way, but, Annie was always kind of that fancy aunt, she had the nice clothes and a nice car, and she had a nice house with all the fun things. Like she had the, Pong game and all those like fancy things that none of us had.
Yes, exactly.
What I mean, that's how I looked. So I don't know. We ended up there and I honestly don't remember anything else of this trip besides this exact event. And it was, Annie was telling us that she had just bought this spa, like jacuzzi machine thing that...
This sounds like trouble.
It's trouble. And remember, this is like early 80s. So I'm sure it was fancy then. So we were like, woo. And so what it is you lay it on the bottom of the tub. I guess you plug it in. Now that I think about that, that sounds real safe. Right? I was thinking about this last night.
It's already good.
I'm like, how did it turn on? I'm like, I had to plug it. So
yes, because it's always smart to put something that plugs into your tub and fill it with water.
Right. And with 2 small children. So it laid on the bottom, and this is what I can remember. Maybe Erin remembers it differently, but I think what it was meant to do was you'd get in the tub and you had water and you turn it on and it basically turns it into a jacuzzi, like bubbles, just water bubbles. But I guess Annie thought it would be fun to put us in there and then put some bubble, Mr. Bubble in or something to make bubbles. So there was a little bit of water on the bottom, and then we could sit there and then put a little bit of the bubbles in. And so the bubbles would kind of come up, right? Like well, she has sliding glass doors on her shower. So we close those. We're sitting in there, Erin and I, in our swimsuit, banging on the bubbles, and it was fun and whatever.
So this is the shower or the bathtub?
It's a bathtub. It's a
with a shower in a shower enclosure. Okay, got it. All right, so, I'm with you now.
So as we're sitting in the tub and the bubbles are starting to rise, it was fun. So we shut the glass doors because the bubbles are rising. We didn't want them to go over the tub. And so it was, seriously, it scared the crap out of me. So then it was like, and then we get up a little bit. The bubbles were going higher and higher, and we stood up as the bubbles got higher and higher. And we were finally standing up, and it was fun. And I could see Erin on one end and she could see me. And pretty soon it was like we couldn't see each other anymore.
Oh my God.
It was almost like, and I always think in my head, this is what people who get stuck in an avalanche feel like. You can't figure out where you are. Like I couldn't figure out which way was the door. I couldn't figure out where Erin was. But in the meantime, the bubbles are still going crazy and we couldn't breathe. You'd have to make these little pockets, holes, like in front of you with your hands. And so, because of the bubbles, it kept coming, and it was like...
You couldn't turn this off. You couldn't turn it off from where you were.
No, we had no clue. We couldn't even figure out how to open the sliding glass doors. And we couldn't talk to each other because if you talked or inhaled or did anything, then it was like, it was scary. So I just remember like trying to feel around, trying to figure out how to open the damn sliding glass doors. And I'm sure Erin was doing the same thing but for all I know, I was like rubbing against the wall. I couldn't figure out where it was. Well, I didn't know where the hell I was. So Erin and I were kind of feeling around. It was like hands and limbs. And I mean, I knew it was not a good scene. And the only thing the next thing I remember is Annie was standing there because she had opened the door finally. I mean, I think we were screaming. I don't know what happened. We had to have screamed. We had to have screamed because why would she come upstairs? Probably the scream that we could get in without choking on bubbles. But she's like laughing and we're in tears. I mean, we're crying. It's like, oh my God, we're alive. It was like we got out. It was crazy. I'll never forget that. It was scarier than hell.
It sounds scarier than hell.
And I want to hear Erin's version because I'm sure it's similar to mine, but I mean.
Oh, but it'll be twice as dramatic.
Well, of course. And she, she was a little bit older than me, so she might have remembered it different too, but I'm just like, Annie was laughing and we're bawling and she's laughing and trying to make us feel better. And I'm like, what the hell just happened here? Like, this is supposed to be fun. Yeah, we almost died. You can die by bubbles.
When Erin finally told this story, we were lucky enough to have 4 out of the 5 sisters on a Zoom call. So you'll hear all of us interjecting here from time to time. And you'll also hear Erin needs a little jogging of the memory. This story happened over 30 years ago, after all. But once she gets going, this is another classic Erin storytelling session about what happened in that tub. Stay with us. Hey there, it's Kim. I'm just popping in to answer a quick question someone asked, which is what more they could do to help support the show beyond sharing, reviewing, and subscribing. Here's a quick list. 1. Buy us a cookie or 2 at ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/howinthehell. It's actually spelled ko-fi.com and then /howinthehell. 2, we have fun merchandise. Shirts, mugs, bags, even socks. The link is at howinthehellpodcast.com. 3, are you a small business owner? You can advertise on the show. Email howinthehelldidigethere @gmail.com or call 323-488-3303. Here's Erin with her recollections about the time the bubbles went bad.
My cousin Heather and I, more than once, I think, stayed with my Aunt Annie, who is my mom's sister 1 year younger. And so for whatever reason, we were at her house and we were probably, I don't know how old we were. Heather probably knows better. I'm saying I would guess we were 8 or 9. My Auntie Annie had a sliding door on her shower. And I don't know why Heather and I decided it would be fun to take a shower together. So there is that probably a story in itself. But so we started filling, I think we were just taking a shower.
Okay, hold on. Heather said Annie had brought some sort of contraption that she put in the tub that was supposed to like...
Oh, yes. No, okay.
But she thought it would be fun to put bubbles in there?
It was a mat. It was a mat on the floor. Okay, I totally forgot about that.
Yes, I thought that was what made the bubbles, right?
Yes. Right, so turn your bath into the nightmarish, claustrophobic bubble bath.
I think it was supposed to be a jacuzzi. She probably wasn't even supposed to put the bubbles in there.
No, we did that. I'm sure she would have not been happy about that part.
No, Heather blamed Annie.
We'll just stay with that then. Anyway, all of a sudden, we turn on the bubble maker and, the big Avon, how can you not dump bubble bath out of that big, pretty, bumpy, do you guys remember that? It was like...
Yes, I do, yep.
Yeah, yep. So we dumped a capful and then probably the whole fucking bottle of into what turned into a shower. We must have clogged it up to make the bath thing work. And then the bubbles started rising and rising and rising, and we're both there, 8-year-old, like 4 feet tall. And at first,
the doors were shut, right?
The coolest fucking thing ever. We're like in the clouds, and we're scooping away, and you know, blowing it, and it's like, holy shit, we're in, like, this is Wonderland. It was awesome, and I'll never forget it for the rest of my life, because the next thing that happened was the goddamn door. So I panicked in some second, because all of a sudden you realize, oh shit, I inhaled it because we were probably laughing really hard. Yeah. Then I started choking, and that's when, you know, you're like, yes. And then it was like you got sucked into some like weird vortex of there's no fucking door. And I couldn't get the door open, and meanwhile I literally am choking. These bubbles. Oh my God. I inhaled them to the point where I couldn't breathe. So this was not funny, but it's funny now because I'm still alive. It is. But we got the door open finally, and I think I probably cut my hand or something on the door trying to get it open, because I remember it being stuck or locked or something. And then what happened next, I can't describe Annie. We need her version of it, because I think she came home and came up
during
this
this
whole wall, like fell into her beautiful bathroom. She had a vanity that was all like, and we fucking filled the whole bathroom with bubbles. And, yeah.
Well, Heather said you guys came out of there traumatized, and Annie didn't understand what the hell happened to you.
Right, because I almost died, and Heather laughed, and then
Heather said she was traumatized too, because she was having to find the pocket.
Yes, we got stuck. It was like, fuck, which way is the door?
So, am I right? Am I right in remembering it was a whirlpool tub?
No. I thought that too, but Kim, you just totally triggered that. Thank you. Triggered that memory. It was a mat
Thank you.
that she bought that you stick on the bottom of the tub, and I think it created bubbles from the bottom. Oh. I think Annie said the last thing that she said to us was something like, don't pour a bubble bath in, or don't use too much bubble bath, or don't make a mess. She said something like
that. Right before she left two 8-year-olds home alone.
Bubbles weren't the only thing that almost took Erin out while she was staying with our Aunt Annie. Here she continues to reminisce about summer visits to Annie's house.
Oh my God, I have good stories of staying with Annie, because I think I stayed with her
too.
Like 4 or 5 different times. She used to make us answer the door when a different guy would come to the door every night courting.
Oh yeah, I had to make up stories.
I'm not home.
Yeah,
sorry,
I had to answer the phone. I had to answer the phone.
Yes, she was like juggling so many.
Might be. Yeah,
I'm like, I'm only 8. Oh my God, the night Matt has the other side of this story. Matt and I stayed with Annie. She bought another gadget. It was a deep fat fryer, and those were new then. Like, nobody had one. She made us every type of deep fried food. Bananas, everything. We're like, yeah, okay. We're shoveling it in.
Why does bananas keep coming up?
The toilet. Shitting and thinking I'm going to die. And I'm sorry, it's that scene again.
Yeah.
That was, I remember that because it hurt so bad I thought I was going to die. Like, you know how your feet curl up and you're like, like the cramps from hell.
Between the foot cramping, the toe curling, and that facial expression, that was perfect.
You were probably like, that was probably a can of Crisco coming out of you.
Yeah, I don't know what it was, but that was another Annie's house trauma moment.
Matt and you both.
I think we were fighting for the toilet. Something going back and forth.
It was so much fun editing this week's episode. Oh my God, I could totally picture Erin and Heather trapped in that tub with bubbles climbing up around them. Couldn't you? That's the power of good storytelling, and why I love a good story. It takes you right there as the listener. If you love stories and want to be able to tell them so that people pay attention, I'm thinking about putting together a storytelling workshop. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, reach out to me at howinthehelldidIgethere@gmail.com and watch for info about that to come in our Facebook group. or on Instagram. You can follow me there at Kim A. Floden. I hope you enjoyed today's episode as much as we enjoyed making it for you. If you did, be sure to spread the word to your friends and help us grow our audience. Meet you back here next week for more How in the Hell Did I Get Here stories. Until then, pay attention, my friends. You just never know when you might find yourself saying,
This is what people who get stuck in an avalanche feel like. You can't figure out where you are. Like, I couldn't figure out which way was the door.
How in the hell did I get here? Thanks again to our sponsor, The Coloring Book Coach. Be sure to check out the podcast How to Fall in Love with Yourself Toolkit to hear guidance, wisdom, intuition, and action steps for the month. Big thanks to our storytellers this week, our cousin, Heather Vaudrey, and our sister, Erin Beach. And a shout out to our Aunt Annie for providing the space for the stories to happen in the first place. Thank you to Silent Partner for our theme song, which is 7th Floor Tango, and our ad music, Blue Skies. We found them on YouTube's Creator Library. This week's show was written, produced, and hosted by myself, Kim A. Floden, with editing help from Carrie Floden.